But Shift Focus and ET Now, in its continuous effort of innovation, brings you yet another unique property in collaboration with Morningstar, which will help you keep track on the markets and a bunch of specific stocks as well in particular. Nikunj, what's in, what's out? That's what the segment called?
Ultimately, a lot of investors and traders, they want to know that which way, what is smart money doing, and at a time when mutual funds are really the net buyers in this market, how exactly are they allocating capital? So that's the purpose of this segment. We've tied up with Morningstar to map, track, and also identify some key stocks, sectors where institutional activity is solid and robust. Kaustubh Belapurkar, Director Fund Research with Morningstar, now joins us to walk us through what were the key findings of the December data. Now, December data is what we are discussing. The data normally comes out by mutual funds between 7th and 10th. It takes about a day or two to compile them, and now the fact sheet is ready. So Kaustubh, let's talk about the large cap universe. What were the top 5 names which were added in the large cap universe category?
Sure. So, we saw some interesting trends emerge in December, where we had stocks like ITC that saw a lot of buying coming in. Then some of the banks like HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank. Then you had a housing finance company like the HDFC Limited getting buying. So I think it is an interesting move in a sense, because ITC, obviously we saw some correction in the stock price in November and post demonetization, and that's really where a lot of funds came in and started buying back into the stock, seeing slightly lower valuations than what we had seen in the past, and that's been one of the triggers for funds to see increased activity in that. Similar movement for HDFC, where the stock price did correct. In terms of the sort of the private banks, HDFC and ICICI HDFC has anyways been one of the sort of foremost stocks. It is the largest holding for mutual funds on an aggregate basis, so they continue to keep sort of adding on to that stock as and when they get opportunities. That's really been the trend that we've seen on the large cap side.
Okay, aside of the large cap universe, tell us a little bit more about which were the most sold off 5 names from the large cap universe, because one is seeing different sectors under pressure, and now with earnings coming about, you're seeing that of it play out. There are concerns about telecom, there's concern about IT, which already has played out. So which were the top 5 sell-offs according to you?
Yeah. So some of the names that, again, marquee names. So we had some sell-off in Reliance Industries, Tata Motors. So Tata Motors, if you've seen, actually post the whole saga of the mystery saga, funds have actually been buying quite heavily into Tata stocks, including Tata Motors. But December was kind of a turnaround in that sense, where some of the funds actually exited the Tata Motors position, in the month of December. Then we've had other stocks like, AB Nuvo, which is obviously, for the demerger, where a fair bit of chunk was sold by one of the large asset managers. Then, we've had others like HPCL and Bank of Baroda. HPCL, again, was a stock that, has done increasingly well for the fund companies. They've been large investors in this. They made a lot of money on it. So in some sense, it would be some sort of a profit booking move for them to move out of this counter.
Okay. What about the smaller names? What about the mid caps and small caps, which were lapped up? Where did we see the most buying coming in?
Yeah, so again, it was sort of a diverse set. So we had one IPO, which is the Sleepwell mattresses, the Sheela foams, which got subscribed by quite a few asset managers. So that was amongst the top picks, in a sense, for the mid-cap names. Then we had other names like Clarion Chemicals, where a lot of smaller mid-cap funds, some of the MNC funds bought into the stock, and they actually increased holdings quite substantially in a stock like Clarion. Then you had the erstwhile the SKS Microfinance, which had a very sharp drop off post demonetization announcement. but given the way the guidance from management, the funds have actually been buying into part of the financial inclusion stock quite heavily, and then you had a couple of private sort of banks, the smaller ones like Ratnakar Bank and Federal Bank. Again, Federal Bank has been a fairly popular stock with small and mid cap sort of counters, where it is amongst the largest holdings on an aggregate basis for small and mid cap funds.
So let's wrap up the discussion by your take on the large caps, top 3 large cap stocks owned by mutual funds, followed by top 3 mid cap stocks currently owned by mutual funds. And I would assume that you are not looking at a category, you're pretty much mincing and mixing large cap and mid cap funds both when you will talk about this data, right?
Absolutely. So it's an aggregate number for the industry, because you'll always have funds that invest into both large and mid cap stocks. It's always a mix. You'll rarely have a pure sort of breed of a fund. So if you look at the top large cap names, I don't think there are any surprises there. Index heavy names, you got your 2 large private banks, HDFC and ICICI Bank, and Infosys being sort of the 3rd largest holding. Infi, we've seen that there has been some pruning of exposure in the past, but again in this month we did see some sort of an uptick in the technology stock buying actually for December, be it TCS or Infi. So Infi is kind of the 3rd largest holding on an aggregate basis for mutual funds. If you talk about sort of the mid-cap counters, some of the names that really stand out are so Federal Bank is, like I mentioned, one of the popular smaller private sector banks that's been actually been kind of a darling of a lot of fund managers for a while now. Max Financial Services, that's another name that's amongst the top holdings. And Ramco Cements, again, something which has made a lot of money for small and mid cap managers, and again a popular holding in a lot of counters. That's really the top 3 holdings in the small and mid cap side.
Okay, good chatting with you, and thank you so much for telling us what's in and what's out when it comes to the mutual fund universe. So that was a bit of a slice coming in from Morningstar and the data that they've crunched in terms of the top holdings by mutual funds and the least preferred stocks as well. For the index, we're back at 8,400.